D bar chord is one of the most common guitar chords of all. And the two most common ways that we play this are like this and like this. But there's three other ways that we can play D bar chords. Like this, like this, and like this. But it's important to remember that those last three bar chord shapes that I showed you, they don't get used very often. It's the first two that we use all the time as guitarists. So if someone says play a D bar chord, they mean use one of those first two types. Okay, now I'm going to share some of my best tips for playing bar chords. So just to be clear, there's 5 ways that we can play a D bar chord. In fact, there's 5 ways that we can play pretty much any bar chord. And what a bar chord is it's a movable shape. So it's a chord shape that we can move up and down the fret and use it in any location. And there's 5 different movable shapes, which means there's 5 different foundations of bar chords. And that's using a C shape, an A shape, a G shape, an E shape, and a D shape. And the way we remember that as guitarists is the word caged. Okay, now I'm going to share my favourite tips for bar chords. These have helped thousands and thousands of students, and they'll work for you too. Okay, tip number 1. When you're playing bar chords, your finger doesn't have to be rigidly straight. A lot of people, when they first start playing, they think that their finger has to be in a really straight line, like a clamp. But that's not the case. When we play bar chords, it's absolutely fine for your finger to curve, to turn to the side and curve just a little. And that makes it much, much easier to play. For example, if you're playing an A bar chord here, then these fingers are pressing down on those 3 strings. So you don't need to press down and bar those 3 strings because these 3 fingers are doing that job. Actually, the only strings that you need to press down is here and then here. The 1st, 2nd and 6th strings, because the other strings are being pressed by your fingers. A lot of people don't make that connection. And the bar chord is much easier to play if you roll your finger back and curve it ever so slightly. Okay, tip number 2, I just want to make this in its own right, and that is that you can play more with the side of your finger. Okay, so as well as curving your finger, you can press in more with the side. And what you'll find is that the side of your finger, it's a bit more bony, there's a little bit less flesh, so it's easier to clamp those strings down. Okay, remember guys, we love making YouTube videos for you, it's lots of fun, but remember our best stuff is on our website. If you want to go much more detailed into bar chords, if you're struggling with bar chords, click the link in the video description. That will take you over to our bar chords guide on our website, where you'll find tons of extra tools and resources that will teach you how to play bar chords. Okay, tip number 3, remember to push forwards with your thumb. When you make a bar chord, you're essentially making a clamp. And I've seen lots of students over the years who they pull back on the fretboard, so they're really great at pulling this way, but their thumb is really kind of limp, and that's not what we want. If you want to make an effective clamp, you need pressure from both sides, so remember to push forwards with your thumb as well as pulling back with your fingers. Okay, the next tip is raise your index finger. A lot of the time when I see people struggling with bar chords, what's happening is they're playing and their first finger is about here. And what that means is that, depending on your hand size, what's happening is that the sort of fleshy parts of your finger is touching the strings, and that's why you get that kind of nasty half deadened sound. What most people find is that if they raise their index finger from there to there, feels a bit weird, feels a little bit too high, but you can see how much my finger's sticking up above the neck. What most people find is when they do that, what happens is the part of the finger that's pressing on the 2nd string, which is usually the trickiest one, it isn't this fleshy part of your finger anymore. It tends to be more of like on the knuckle of your finger. So if you raise that up, it just allows the sort of anatomy of your finger, the bones in your finger, to press down, and it just makes it easier. Okay, the next tip is remember that you don't have to clamp your finger the whole time. When you're playing bar chords, sometimes you can give yourself a little bit of a break by just relaxing your finger. So listen to what that does to the sound. So So can you see how my finger's coming on and off the strings there? I'm deliberately doing that to deaden it, to create a kind of more of a percussive kind of rhythmic feel. But also what that's doing is it's giving my finger a bit of a break. So you don't have to just press down all of the time. With pretty much any song, you've got some latitude rhythmically in how you present the track. So if your finger's getting tired, sometimes you can just play the chord in a slightly different way by just relaxing your finger for a moment. It'll deaden the notes, but if you do that at regular intervals, that's what creates rhythm. You don't have to clamp and hold with all of your might all of the time. Okay, the last tip that I wanted to share with you here is there is a completely different way of playing bar chords, which some people really struggle to do, but I personally found it easier, and I love playing bar chords this way. And that's when you use your thumb instead of your first finger. So instead of playing a bar chord like this, you can play it like this. Okay, now can you see how my thumb has come over the top of the neck there? So actually, there's no bar here. Yeah, I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is I'm playing all of these. I'm playing the first two strings there, layering these ones on top, and then using my thumb over the top. Okay, now that feels like a really weird technique for some people, especially when they move from being a beginner guitarist to an intermediate, because everything you've done is using your fingers down here, playing kind of simple shapes. So the idea of bringing your thumb around the top, you can see my whole forearm position has to change to do that. But some people find that way, way easier than applying a full bar. Of course, we still want you to be able to play a full bar, but sometimes using that pattern there with your thumb, it just gives you another option. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Bar chords, super fun. When you can play them, the whole guitar neck opens up to you. I hope this has given you some new ideas and new things to think about in your guitar playing. We love making these videos, but remember, our best stuff is over on our website. If you want to read our full bar chords guide, get all the free downloads and goodies, click the link in the video description now. Also, we recently did a video that shows you how to play guitar if you have small hands. If you want to check out that video, again, the link's in the video description. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.